Welcome to Trent's DIY Adventures. I'm Trent, and in today's episode, we go over on how I built this herb shelf for my wife. Please join in. So we've made it out to my garage to cut the shelf board. We need to measure out 82 1/4 inches on this board. We just went to Home Depot and got a 1x8 by 8 foot long board. I've got her measured out to 82 1/4. Be using carpenter square. I've got my safety glasses. I'll have gloves, and then I am just going to be using my cordless Ryobi circular saw to make the cut. Okay, earlier I made my mark for 82 1/4, and then I just used my little carpenter square here. Make sure I'm on my mark and square at 90 here. I've got my safety gloves on. I've got my safety glasses on. I'm lining up the line on my 0 mark. Have my blade positioned on the line, and here we go. And this was just a 24 tooth wood cutting saw blade on my Ryobi 18 volt. Next step will be, I have a notch to cut out on the other side. So next step here is to cut out the notch where I'm going to be going up against a bracket on another shelf. And I'm using my corded jigsaw. Perfect. Now we're going to go test fit and then on to sanding. So our next step is sanding. I'm using my corded skill sander. We'll start with 80 grit, move on up to 100 grit, and then we're going to finish it on 220, and I'm going to do all surfaces. Okay, that's about all that I'm going to be doing for sanding on this board. Next step is to just get a bucket of water and a rag and wipe her down, get the sawdust down, let it dry off, and then we'll get into putting the stain on. Okay, on to our next step is going to be staining the shelf that we have. Early American wood stain. I just have a paintbrush, I've got a damp rag, and we're just going to start spreading the stain on. Okay, welcome back. We have finished staining our shelf. We only ended up putting on 1 coat, and again, this stain was a Polyurethane penetrating wood stain, and it is early American. I will leave a link in the description of where we got that from. Got it from Home Depot, but you can probably find that in another brand somewhere. But it turned out really nice. It's a nice dark red wood, so I had to go out and resand the board. And you know, kind of have a nice little cool look where some of the top veins got back down to bare wood, and then you have the darker stain in between. After I was wiping it down, it actually looked pretty good in a gloss or as a wet look. So I'll get set up and start staining. I picked up some of the Verilane polyurethane water-based. It's a triple coat. It's supposed to be 1 coat equals 3 of the old stuff. It's a semi-gloss clear. And again, that's the same manufacturer as the stain, so hopefully the products worked well together. These are the angle brackets that my wife picked out, which we'll be using to hang the shelf with over the windows. These are just a classic arch we picked up from Home Depot. Again, a link in the description below. We chose black. One edge is 6. The other edge is an 8, so they're a 6x8. And because our board is an 8-inch board, I've pre-tested this 8-inch overlaps the end a little bit on the board, so shelf will go on the 6-inch side, and then this will be the vertical down the window pane. Okay, here we are at our window. This is a shelf that we are going to be matching up with, and I need to be able to transfer this measurement over to the window frame so that I can get this board level. And I thought maybe the easiest way to get this measurement would be to go from the ceiling down to the top of the bracket insert here, or the bottom of the shelf, and it looks like I'm about 25¼ inches. So I just kind of move over to where I'm at here. So my next step is, show it here on this middle one, I want this flat edge to be at that 25¼ mark, and then I'm going to mark my hole insert, because again the 6 is going to be where the shelf sits, and the 8 is going to come down the wall just to make it fit best. So I come over here, you can kind of have to eyeball, make my mark in there, and over here on this last one, same thing, try and eyeball it the best I can. Just for my test fit, what I am going to use is I'm going to put in just these little small finishing nails. Small hole, it'll act as a pilot hole, and I can do my test fit, get my level out, and make sure I'm square before I actually drill any holes. Okay, so I've got my camera out, there's my hole. So I am sitting pretty level from that bracket to that bracket. I'm happy with how the base of that is going to line up with that shelf. So then we come over here and do the next one. I'm sitting pretty good on this bracket here. And now we're going to install the larger screw that was supplied with the bracket. Okay, so now we can kind of see the beginnings of what the board's going to look like finished up here. We do have a little bit of a bow, but it's not too bad. Suck that down with the screws and we'll be okay. And it's got a little twist to it. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my hole there. So now we can kind of see our black dots on here, and Ryobis are nice because they have variable speed triggers, so I don't have to pull. Let's see, it's sweeping the dust away. I can pull back out. Okay. So holes are drilled there. So now we take the brackets off. We switch the drill bit to the screw bit. And we start screwing them in. So we're going to screw in the back screw first. Pretty level up there. And the eyeball test. And we're back down in the basement to install the curtain rod. My wife found these nice industrial pipe looking curtain rods at the At Home department store here in town. I will post a link to those if I can find them on their website. I'll need to cut the bars down. It looks like we overlap right at 12 inches. So 6 inch would be our center. If I take 6.5 off of that one and flip around, 6.5 off of bar number 2, it should give me about an inch overlap. I need to take the bars out to the shop, take a hacksaw to them, and get those cut down. Here we are with hopefully the shelf installed for the last time. I did go through before I hung the shelf, pre-drilled my pilot holes, screw that one in, telescope, and we have very minimal center space here. my last step is to screw in the last of the screws. For whatever reason, I just like to work right to left. Okay, she's mounted on. Now we'll show why I left this bracket on. We got the curtain rod rings to put on. So now you can work from either end. Don't have to take the whole entire system off. I've got just enough to put everything on. Yep. And then we can step back and admire our work. Job well done. And by our work, I've moved the curtain down, the temporary curtain down from up top down below to kind of give you a good idea. I think that turned out pretty nice. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this project and want to see more of them, please click subscribe, and thank you for watching.